I think that Indiana is a problem. And the way that they are playing as of late, when you look at the numbers of what Caitlin Clark has done, her improvement and how she has adjusted to the speed of the game.
Time we watch you play basketball, you're breaking another record. Today, it was the season record of assists for Tisha Penichero. What does it mean to you to pass a legend like that?
Well, Tisha's been a big fan of mine ever since I was in college, and somebody that has always been right there to congratulate me or just be somebody that's offered advice. So to pass somebody like her, I'm just forever thankful that she's been such a legend in our game. But it's super cool, but hopefully there's a lot more of those.
Caitlin Clark's meteoric rise has been nothing short of revolutionary for women's basketball, and a recent showdown with ESPN further solidified her status as a game-changer. Known for her fearless demeanor on the court, the Iowa Hockey's star has captured the attention of sports fans across the nation, breaking barriers and shattering records along the way. But her most recent spotlight wasn't just on her skills or another jaw-dropping performance. It was how she handled ESPN, a giant in sports media that truly made waves. The world saw how Caitlin Clark humiliated the network, and this moment has sent ripples through the WNBA, altering its future trajectory. But before we proceed further, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe. For years, ESPN has been the go-to network for sports coverage, and while they've championed men's sports with vigor, women's basketball has often been relegated to a side note. The network's treatment of female athletes has been frustratingly uneven at times, despite efforts to highlight talents like Sue Bird or Diana Taurasi. But ESPN may have bitten off more than it could chew when they underestimated Caitlin Clark. Clark, never one to shy away from a challenge, faced the network's lukewarm attitude with the same intensity she brings to the court. And much like her buzzer beaters, this clash was a resounding success, just not for ESPN. The tension began to simmer when Clark made her feelings clear about the lack of proper media coverage for women's sports. Despite her dominance and consistent highlights, it seemed ESPN wasn't giving women's basketball or Clark herself the attention it deserved. Frustrated but determined, Clark didn't mince words. Her critique wasn't delivered in a dramatic speech or through a high-profile interview, but rather in the effortless, almost nonchalant way that only Caitlin Clark could pull off. Her actions, subtle yet stinging, spoke louder than any overblown complaint. She posted on social media, calling out the lack of primetime slots for women's games and comparing it to the men's consistently televised matches. The effect was instant, with fans rallying behind her. It wasn't just about her. It was about all the women who had come before her, who had poured their heart and soul into a game that wasn't getting its due. ESPN, uncharacteristically slow to respond, found itself in an awkward position. They had ignored Clark for too long, and now they were paying the price. Caitlin's critique wasn't just a dig at the network. It was a full-court press that left ESPN scrambling to pick up the pieces. Sports pundits, talk show hosts, and fans alike were suddenly questioning the network's treatment of women's sports, and the backlash was palpable. Clark had taken control of the narrative, and ESPN was on the defensive. Clark's behavior during this saga was quintessential Caitlin. She didn't shy away from the issue or let it fester behind the scenes. Instead, she tackled it head-on with the same confidence she has when pulling up from 30 feet. This no-nonsense approach not only earned her more respect, but also highlighted a gaping hole in ESPN's coverage strategy. The fact that Clark, a 22-year-old college athlete, could send shockwaves through the sports media world with just a few carefully chosen words and actions was a testament to her growing influence. The fallout from this showdown wasn't limited to ESPN alone. The WNBA, long searching for ways to attract a bigger audience, suddenly found itself in a prime position to capitalize on the moment. Clark's rising star has put more eyes on women's basketball than ever before, and the league knows it. They've been quick to align themselves with Clark, recognizing that her candidness and willingness to call out injustice resonates deeply with fans. After all, Caitlin isn't just a basketball player. She's a symbol of where the game is headed. Clark's ability to hold her own against ESPN, combined with her undeniable talent, has sparked a renewed interest in the WNBA. The league, which has historically struggled to find a foothold in the crowded sports landscape, is now poised to ride this wave of attention. More viewers are tuning in, more tickets are being sold, and more merchandise is flying off the shelves. Caitlin Clark's public criticism of ESPN wasn't just a personal victory. It was a win for the entire sport. But what makes Clark's rise so captivating is how effortlessly she handles the pressure. You get the sense that no moment is too big for her. Whether it's draining threes in front of packed arenas or subtly roasting a billion-dollar sports media network, she approaches everything with the same cool demeanor. There's an almost playful quality to her defiance, as if she's always a step ahead of everyone else. And that's part of what makes her so dangerous, both on and off the court. Take, for instance, how Clark interacted with the media post-critique. Rather than shying away from the attention or delivering rehearsed soundbites, she leaned into the moment. During one interview, she was asked about the controversy with ESPN. Instead of dodging the question, she smirked and said, "Maybe they'll put me on primetime next time." It was a perfect mix of humor and self-assurance that made it clear she wasn't backing down. Her confidence wasn't brash, just matter of fact. The type of confidence that comes from knowing you've already won. Her rivalry with ESPN has also added an interesting layer to her appeal. Sports fans love a good underdog story, and in this case, Clark represented the scrappy up-and-comer going toe-to-toe with the corporate giant. Except in this story, the up-and-comer is one of the best athletes on the planet, and she's not exactly an underdog anymore. Clark's fight against ESPN was a battle that fans didn't even realize they wanted to see, but once it unfolded, they were all in. It was David versus Goliath, only this time, David was sinking logo threes and tweeting with pinpoint accuracy. The WNBA has been quick to seize on Clark's rising star, understanding that she brings a fresh, rebellious energy that resonates with younger audiences. The league has already seen a surge in interest, with many crediting Clark's influence for the uptick in viewership. She represents the future of women's basketball, and the WNBA is leaning into that narrative, knowing that her charisma and outspokenness could help usher in a new era for the sport. Clark's clash with ESPN has also opened up broader discussions about the treatment of women in sports media. For too long, women's sports have been pushed to the margins, but Caitlyn's public stance against the network has forced many to confront these discrepancies head-on. ESPN's coverage, or lack thereof, of women's basketball has now become a topic of national conversation. Fans are demanding more equitable treatment, and the network can no longer afford to ignore the growing voices of discontent. Caitlyn didn't just change the conversation, she shifted the power dynamic. Now sports networks and brands must sit up and pay attention, or risk falling behind in a rapidly changing landscape. What's perhaps most intriguing about all of this is that Caitlyn Clark seems completely unfazed by the chaos she's stirred up. As ESPN scrambles to repair its image and the WNBA enjoys its newfound surge in popularity, Clark is back on the court, doing what she does best, dominating. Her ability to compartmentalize the noise and stay focused on basketball is part of what makes her so special. It's as if she thrives on the attention, but only in the way that it fuels her drive to get better. She'll use this moment, like every other challenge she's faced, to elevate her game to even greater heights. And in the end, that's what it all comes down to for Caitlyn Clark: winning. Whether it's dismantling opponents on the hardwood or taking on media giants, she's in it to win, and so far, she's doing just that. The WNBA, ESPN, and sports fans everywhere are watching her every move, knowing that whatever she does next will likely change the game once again. Clark's rise is a story of resilience, talent, and a bit of defiance, and it's a story that's far from over. Caitlyn Clark didn't just humiliate ESPN, she forced the world to recognize that women's basketball deserves the spotlight, and that she's the one to bring it there. As the WNBA gears up for its next season, they do so with the knowledge that their future looks a lot brighter, thanks to one player who refused to stay quiet. And if Clark's story is any indication, she's only getting started. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more engaging content. We thrive on your feedback, so be sure to leave your thoughts in the comments section below. Until next time, keep discovering and stay tuned.